Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Pregame show presented by PointsBet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Cubs and Cardinals getting ready to start their series at Wrigley Field. Stuckmeyer, Jared Willis, Cody Del Mendo, who happens to be a metrics guy for the last how many days?
Since May 17th. I'm not good at math either, so even though I'm like a analytics guy, I still suck at math in a way. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I don't know how many days that is, Luke.
Just over 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Thank
2
you,
weeks.
Joey.
Very good. So Cubs, Cardinals, Ryan Herrera's at the ballpark. Hopefully be joining us on the post-game show. Don't forget to join us on the post-game show after the final out tonight. We'll be here for a good hour talking Cubs, Cardinals, and all the great stuff that happens at Wrigley Field tonight. We're also talking a little bit about the future in this pregame show because we have a doubleheader on Saturday. All Cub fans want to see Caleb Killian, and it hasn't been ruled out just yet. David Ross says it's wait and see on one of those pitchers, and that he is certainly part of the conversation, right, or something like that. What was the exact quote? Definitely an option.
Definitely an option. Yes.
So you're telling us there's a chance.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Insert GIF of
He's the only option.
Yeah,
He's the only option.
Well, this seems like a perfect opportunity to send him out there and see what he's got
against your rival as well. Oh man, if he goes, if they actually brought him up and he went out there and shoved 7 innings down their throat, I would be unbearable for 24 hours, folks. I wouldn't even care that the Cubs are not that great. If Caleb Killian went out there and shoved 7 innings down the Cardinals' throats this weekend, it would just, it'd be my World Series, honestly.
This is the World Series. It's bigger than the NBA Finals. This is
5
this is
games
it.
against the Cardinals at Wrigley. Maybe Caleb Killian.
Don't let me talk myself into them winning all 5, and we're right back in it. Don't let me do it.
I really do. I hope we've already had. Well, we see 2 of the young pieces maybe so far tonight. We see Keegan Thompson on the mound, which I'd like to see more of in the starting role, which I've changed my mind on that. And Morel, who's been so great since he came up. Now is Killian going to be the third piece of that puzzle? We'll find out. Tonight's lineup, by the way, against the Cardinals, all right-handed from David Ross. He's going Morel again, top of the order, playing center field tonight. Contreras DH, Wisdom at third, Schwindel batting fourth, Horner at short, fifth, then Happ in left, Frazier in right, batting sixth and seventh, Higgins behind the plate, Madrigal at second, and Keegan Thompson is your pitcher tonight. What do you think about the lineup in general? We kind of nitpick whatever David Ross does each because that's really the only way we can evaluate what he's doing this season. It's a difficult season to evaluate. As long as he leaves Morel at the top of the order right now, the rest of it, as long as that happens and the appropriate players are getting the appropriate playing time. I think that's kind of the biggest beef for Cubs fans. That's what they're focused on.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing at this point is who's getting the at-bats, who's in the lineup. Maybe some things like, you notice that Ian Happ has been, slid down a little bit because he's struggled some lately. But yeah, I'm with you. I like Morel at the top. I like him as their leadoff guy. He's, it helps that he's gotten on base safely in all, 15 of the games he's played now so far. So while he's doing that, put him at the top of the order, and everything else can cascade down from there. But yeah, it's really about guys like Morel, some of these younger players, and getting them in the lineup, giving them the opportunities, rather than is it worth nitpicking things like who's in what spot? Probably not.
I actually like this lineup. No Hayward tonight. We got Frazier back in there. You love to see it. Morel, like you were saying, leading off. And you look at the lineup they put out there. You get down to 8-9 with Higgins and Madrigal. We want to see Madrigal in there. We got to see what he is. And Higgins doing the catching while Contreras is DH. Again, just to keep Contreras fresh. I like it. One thing no one's talking about, Patrick Wisdom revenge game. I'm here for it. Absolutely. Would love to see him hit 3 tanks against his former team tonight. Would just be very chef's kiss type stuff. I won't bet on it on points bet, but I would love to see it. But yeah, no, this against the lefty and Liberatore, who's their top pitching prospect, you figured there'd be nothing but righties in the lineup tonight. So,
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't mention it earlier, but I also like that, and I'm glad you mentioned his name, but Clint Frazier getting a start.
Yeah.
Because I do want to see more from him and just get a chance to see what this guy can do, because the pedigree is there. The potential for a really pretty good outfielder is there. So
yeah,
I want to see him in the lineup because I want to see what the guy can do. So that's another thing, kind of like Morel at the top. I'm happy seeing Frazier getting starts.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game in his last game, so that's why a lot of people were pretty mad to see him not in the lineup yesterday, more so than the fact that Velasquez was sent back to Iowa. But if they're going to send Velasquez back to Iowa, then they definitely need to make sure they're getting Frazier at bats. So I'm glad to see it. Not that Ross ever really ever bats Hayward against lefties anyway, but it would have been frustrating to see. I mean, even Ortega's a lefty, so he probably wouldn't be in this lineup, but it would have been frustrating to see someone other than Frazier in right field tonight. So,
what's the over/under on number of times that we think Happ is Frazier and Frazier is Happ? Because they look similar enough that if I'm sitting far enough away from the television and I just glance over, I'm not sure who I'm looking at. Am I the only one that thinks they look a little bit alike?
It happened to me the other night. So the over/under, I'd put it at 1.5 times.
Right, and if the longer the game goes, you may have to adjust that number.
Yeah.
Like if you think it's going to be a long game, you start getting a little tired. Now that number's going way over the top.
Yeah.
Watching the game with one eye.
Right, you start to doze off a little bit.
Doze a little bit.
Later
Get a little distracted. And I would never doze, but, well, it could happen. I saw the chat. Joey, put the chat up real quick. I saw that our list of regulars are all here so far. Rachel's
Good to
not.
see it.
She'll be back. Nick G's there. Joel's there. Robbie's World of Sports. Jack. David Snyder. Marcus.
Nick says the foot position is how you determine the difference between Happ and Clint.
Oh,
So if the foot looks
go.
funky, it's Clint Frazier. If not, it's Happ.
But I mean, just like they may cut to a shot of one of them in the dugout, and I'm like, was that Happ or was it Frazier? If it's a quick enough shot, I get confused. Ferris is right. Ferris is another regular. Luke gets excited seeing Frazier in right field.
What is exciting?
It is
Of course
exciting.
it is.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, and we were talking about, our CHGO name a little bit before we started, and I heard Jim Roman. He made me think of, everybody's a clone. What's up, clones? Mm-hmm. Do we need to start calling our family of CHGO people by a name? Should we all come up with a name, and should that be a poll of what our listeners, viewers, team members, are we chuggers? Are they chuggers? If you're on the chat, you're chuggers? No?
I don't
Not-
know.
not that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we don't like being called chuggos by
Right.
the disrespecters.
That's right. That's
The
right.
disrespecters.
Cough, cough, the
I
athletic.
would be curious to know what people would
Right.
suggest. Yeah, I can't say that I love chuggers, but let's just
But
see
we
what
can
else
just
people
call them
got.
bleacher bums, just for the sake of that's like a popular.
Yeah.
That's like a
The
well-known
bums,
thing.
we could just call them the bums.
I don't. That like
Seems
that's
a little
an insult,
seems a
man.
little disrespectful to Ferris.
What about the grandkids, Luke?
the
We got all the
grandkids,
grandkids in the chat today. Joining. I know
the chat mob.
we'll
Jack.
table that
Now,
one.
that's a good
yeah.
one.
Shuckers.
The Cubettes.
Cubettes.
Ferris
Yeah,
wants the Cubettes.
Okay.
Interesting.
Stuckers.
Stuckers. I like that.
And that
like
Shane has finally come up with a good one.
Luke is like our grandpa or dad.
We could call them the Stuckies. The Delmetrics.
I
the
support it.
Delmetrics. Oh man.
Well, anyway,
Shout out to
continue this
Robbie
idea.
for-
Somebody's going to come up with the right one
Watching
eventually.
my TikTok.
Yeah.
I do like the lineup. I had a trouble picking who you got tonight. We'll get to that in the second segment, but there's some guys on there that are playing pretty well, but nobody like Morel. I love seeing that clip where he's talking about that he looked over at Wilson Contreras last night, and Wilson tells him to take a deep breath,
Yeah.
and that's a bond they have there. I heard on the score on the way in on a commute that took about 2 hours, they were talking about Morel, and
You're not salty about that commute.
no, it was salty, all right. Some Dumbo with one turn signal on in the middle lane. No, they were talking about how with Boog Shambi that he's always touching another teammate. He's hugging, he's slapping their back, whatever it might be. He's just a very tactical, happy-go-lucky young man that's just thrilled to be playing baseball. And that, in fact, he was on the on-deck circle the other day, and he went over while he was on deck and shook Tom Ricketts' hand over in the stands and introduced himself while he was getting ready to play. And Boog asked Tom Ricketts, does that happen very often? He said, since we've owned the team, I think 3 times.
Wow.
And so that's someone who appreciates where he's at. And his, forget the baseball part. It all comes together because he's playing well. But the energy, the excitement, all of that is contagious, even for the fan base, I think.
Well, and last night after the walk-off, both David Ross and Kyle Hendricks used that word. I think Ross said contagious, but then Hendricks' word was infectious. But the same idea of, the energy that he has really does spill over to some of the other guys. And we were talking about it in the press box after the game last night, and just trying to think of, have we ever seen another guy on the Cubs with this kind of energy? We've seen fun and exciting players before, but somebody who, the word that kept coming to mind for me was joy. Somebody who seems to be playing with so much joy. I don't know that I've really seen that from anybody else over the last few years. Now,
Javi brought an energy of his own.
right.
But I don't remember it being out of the gate just like this,
And-
right?
Well, Javi struggled out the gates in
Right.
his
So
career.
he's playing well, so it's a different vibe, as you say. But
Yeah.
And I did, I kind of posed the question. Let's check in and say a month or so, and if he's come down to earth a little bit, is he still,
We finally didn't get a
does he have
hit
the same
last
energy?
night.
Yeah. So we'll see. But for now, at least, it's been kind of refreshing to have him around, to have him in the
I
clubhouse.
think it really speaks to where the farm system is at right now. I mean, listen, I know it's been, 15 games, and I know that eventually he will not be – I assume he won't, at least. I know he won't be this great all the time. He might have stretches. The word is still out. We don't really know exactly who he is, but he brings energy. He has power. He hits the ball hard every time. He hits to all fields. The amount of times we've seen him go the other way is awesome to see. He plays great defense no matter where you put him, and he can play in multiple positions. There's all kinds of things to love about him. Who knows if this is even the ceiling? Who knows if he will fall down to earth where he's not a productive player? We don't know. We need more games. We need, like you said, a month. But again, though, I do think it does speak a little bit to the Cubs farm system because, again, he was only the number 20th ranked prospect according to MLB Pipeline. So, it will be interesting to see how he plays for the next month or two or whatever. And if he is even half of what we have seen, that's a productive guy. That's a guy you want on your team going forward into next year. And for where we're at right now and the state of the team, at least you're figuring an answer out. Because right now, going into the season before Morel came up, you didn't know who was going to be in center field except for probably Brennan Davis. And whenever he got hurt and also was struggling in Iowa, you're like,
now what? Yeah.
what are we doing in center field? And I'm not saying Morel is going to be our future center fielder for 10 years because I don't think that's the case, but he will be able to help play that position when the people we think are going to be there aren't available or, injuries or whatever. He will be able to take a spot for someone as long as he stays healthy and keeps, playing, like I said, even half of how he's been playing because of his defensive versatility and the kind of at-bats that we've seen. And again, it just impresses me so much that he's doing this all out of the leadoff hole. A spot that brings a lot of pressure to perform. the amount of times that we were like, we need to see this guy here, and none of them really worked out. Bryant, Schwarber, like I'm talking after Dexter Fowler,
right?
Albert Almora. They tried so many different guys there, and it just didn't work.
And I think that speaks to the state of the team. Like Jared said, refreshing. He used the word refreshing. Like in the past couple of years with the expectations that's been on the club, like we've seen young guys come up, whether it was Ian Happ in 2017 or Nico Horner, and it's hard to come into a sold-out Wrigley when you're competing for a division or a pennant. And it's fun to see Chris Morel have fun and the team have fun. And it really does seem like he's having fun. And I think that is one of the benefits of this year with the expectations just changing a little and, giving guys a chance to shine.
Phil on the chat's right about just, like enjoying the Gatorade soak at the end of the game. Yeah. Like he let it happen multiple times instead of running away. Like he just embraced it as this is a great part of the process.
Well, and little things too. I mean, last night after the game when we went into the locker room to talk to him, we interview him, talk to him for a few minutes, and then after we were done and the cameras turned off and all of that, he thanked us. When players don't do that, they don't thank us for going and interviewing them. So it's stuff like that. Like he seems to be just genuinely enjoying what's happening and what he's experiencing. So again, I mean, he's been nice to have around.
But you have not been hugged yet.
No.
Okay, see, because I heard on the radio they said Bruce Levine has been hugged. And so I'm waiting for you and Ryan to get the embrace. Who's going to get it first?
I'm a little sad that Bruce Levine is the one who's got the hug, and you and Ryan
said
didn't get a hug?
On the second time that he interviewed him, he got a hug. He brought him in for the embrace.
Yeah, but Bruce has got that elder statesman vibe. You know, I can see why he'd get a hug. I don't know. I don't see any hugs coming my way.
I want Ryan to get a hug.
I need Ryan to get a hug like I need Air to
and I also need a photo of that.
Yes.
Yes, we need document.
And then we can frame it, put it up here in the office. Oh, man.
I know that, phones are not really, they're frowned upon in the clubhouse, but if somebody could get a GIF of that, maybe if it happened out on,
out on the field.
Out on the field, right in front of the dugout. If we could get a GIF of Ryan getting hugged by Morel.
Jock Peterson, can you make us that GIF maybe?
Yeah, right.
And the other guy, clearly on the stream, everybody's excited tonight to see Keegan Thompson.
As they should be.
And I don't remember who it was much earlier in the show. They were saying if Keegan shoves tonight, they want to see him move to the number 2 spot in the rotation already. Not just in the rotation. They want him Stroman, Keegan, Hendricks. I think it might have been Jack or David said that. I think it was David. But I saw Ferris. A bunch of people are excited to see Keegan Thompson. And, yes, that's what we're watching now. You're not necessarily watching just wins and losses because you will always watch that against Cubs Cardinals. You always want to beat the Cardinals. But, again, you're looking for those individual performances, and especially from the young guys that hopefully will be a part of long stretches of beating the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Keegan Thompson coming off a great start. They finally let him surpass 70 pitches. He's got a great test tonight. The Cardinals have been hitting the ball. Paul Goldschmidt has found a way to put himself in that MVP conversation. They have names in that lineup. Nolan Arenado is there. That their top prospect, Nolan Gorman, I think his name is. He's come up and he's been pretty good for them so far. Dylan Carlson off to a slow start, but he's got a lot of potential, and he was really good last year too. So I assume he will figure it out. That's what the Cardinals do. They always just figure it out, and it's annoying and it sucks and it's stupid. Don't let me go on a tangent. But the point is, he's got a tough test tonight. But we've seen him go up against good teams. The one I always like to remember is against San Diego. It was a great lineup that he went up against, and he wasn't perfect that day, but he kept the Cubs in it, and he was able to give him 4 or 5 innings in that one. So, we're going to see him in the rotation for a while because of the injuries with Smiley and Miley. So, I'm hoping that I don't expect him to have this ERA below 2 for long, but man, I'd love I'd love if that were to keep happening,
Yeah, I think tonight is, it's a good opportunity for number one because of the lineup that he's facing. It's a good challenge, and you want to see how he performs against them and what he looks like. And I think the second thing to watch for is, Cody, like you mentioned, is in his last start he went 89 pitches, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And that was his longest start of his major league career so far. So obviously, depending on how things go, but you want to see, do they let him get into that 90 pitch range tonight? Are we willing to let him, stretch out a little bit tonight? That's one of the things that I'll be keeping an eye on as we watch is, again, depending on how he does, but do they let him go
right
into the 90 pitches?
I'm trying to think what the highest number of pitches would be for a Cubs starter this season and like what the top 3 or 4 would be. There aren't too many
off
pushing
the top of my
100
head,
even.
I don't think anybody's really, we haven't had any long ones.
Hendricks
only threw 79 last night. I don't
What
know
about
what
about his complete game? The one where he almost went the distance.
Yeah, against San Diego a few weeks ago.
8 2/3.
Yeah.
He might have been up there for that a little bit.
That might be the most pitches.
I would guess that's
somebody
the most.
one of the commenters mentioned Hendricks against San Diego, but or Stroman. I see Ferris said Stroman went 7 innings, but
I'm not sure anybody's hit 100.
I want to say no.
I
I might
say
be
no.
wrong. Don't hold me to that, but I don't think anybody has yet this year. So, not that I think Thompson will do that tonight, but even if he passes that 90 pitch mark, that'll be a really, I think that'll be a really telling thing just in how much they trust him to go deep into a game like that.
Real quick, I'm scrolling through the CHGO Cubs Twitter timeline right now. You should go follow the account on Twitter if you don't.
I better do that right now.
PCA has his first hit. He has his first hit with South Bend, RBI double, so that's good to hear. He's the Cubs minor league player of the month in April. They still haven't even announced who the people for May are yet.
I don't believe so. That announcement probably would come
soon,
very
right?
soon. Yeah.
And then I just saw a highlight of Kevin Alcantara still mashing in Myrtle Beach, which he's been doing all basically the entire season. And also, I did want to bring up DJ Hirsch had 12 strikeouts last night with South Bend too, and he's a power lefty. He's going to be a stud one day. Can't wait. Like, we're excited about Caleb Killian. Hers might be just as he might be right up there with it. You don't find power lefties very often with that kind of talent, and
absolutely,
man, I can't wait.
We did get an answer on the pitch count, so I guess
116.
Hendricks went 116. So,
But is he the only guy over 100? I would think so.
I think so.
I mean,
I would say so. Maybe steal one of those starts against Arizona, or even his last start. He was at 90 pitches going to that 5th inning. I don't know if he had less than 10 pitches in that final final frame.
Yeah, and you would be better to know about with the numbers because I'm 50 years now as a non-numbers guy. Actually, ever since about 2nd or 3rd grade. Non-numbers guy.
Non-numbers
Yeah.
guy? Well, I don't know why I waited till I was 31, but,
no time like the present.
Better late than never, I guess.
Never too late.
Yeah.
And we mentioned Killian. Shane says he's now top 100 on Baseball America.
Yeah, that was announced today.
Right.
Yeah. Which it's awesome. They have 4 top 100 prospects now for Baseball America. I think they have 2 or 3 on MLB Pipeline. That's the one that I like to look at the most. There's going to be more.
Nice to see pitching prospects in those spots because that hasn't been the case for a while. So
just imagine if Marquez was healthy. Like,
right.
I would love to. Like, if he was healthy last year, and you go into this year with just some sort of understanding of what's going on with him.
But again, remember, so it's cool. He made the top 100. Christopher Morel was not in the top 100. He was nowhere on the radar, and he's up at the major league level.
Killing it.
Producing, killing it, doing his thing. So don't just get locked in on the guys that are top prospects because other guys will come through the system and surprise you and pass them up sometimes.
Right,
That's
and
the
strength of this farm system is that they've got a ton of young guys who are still going to continue to, hopefully take a jump.
And somebody that yesterday, Jordan Bastian, the Cubs beat writer for MLB.com, he was careful to say that, he's not comparing Morel as a player to this person, but he said, back when he covered Cleveland and Jose Ramirez first came up, so their reaction at the time was like he'd come out of nowhere. Who is this guy? He wasn't really on our radar. And then he comes up and he's Jose Ramirez. And again, because Jordan will get mad at me if I misquote him. But he was not saying that Morel is going to be the next Jose Ramirez, but just said it has had a similar feel.
Yeah.
Sort of feels like he's come out of nowhere and then here he is.
What was Wilson Contreras was never a top 100 guy?
No. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he had been in the system for a long time. I think he signed as a 17-year-old in like 2009. So he'd been around for a while, but was, never on that list, I don't think, of top prospects.
Cody, what are you betting tonight?
Oh, I'm taking Cubs money line because I'm thinking like how Jared thinks when we get to who you got. I think Keegan Thompson's going to go out there and shove. And Matthew Liberatore has only made one start. First start at Wrigley. Cubs have actually hit okay against lefties this year. So I'm feeling like this one is going to be a sweat because it's a pretty even one on the Vegas odds, but we ride here at Sunset. Anyway, I'm making those bets on PointsBet. If you didn't know. If you should have known. If you're not signed up with PointsBet, well, listen up. The best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com and we'll help you. Remember that PointsBet is your home for live in-game betting. They even have a new exclusive feature, Live NBA Same-Game Parlay. For the first time ever, build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. You can even boost your live same-game parlays. And now online sign-up is available in Illinois. If you didn't know, you can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish all from your phone. Signing up with the fastest sportsbook is now easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. Use code CHGO to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet, live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
I've got one quick
and yes,
question.
I'm taking the Warriors, Jack.
You are taking Warriors?
I am taking the Warriors.
I have another question for Jack. Jack, would you be willing to trade Morel for Tim Anderson? Because I think he was the Nico Tim Anderson.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Jack has probably been my biggest supporter in the chat, which I very much appreciate. But I just feel like my words keep getting twisted over that entire argument. I never said that I would trade or that I would take Tim. I never said that I would take Nico over Tim Anderson. I never said that I would do that. All I was doing was comparing the two players as the kind of player that they are. That's all I was doing.
You're saying that Nico is better than Tim Anderson? Is that?
And
no,
Morel.
Jared, I'm not
actually saying
that.
Morel is better than Tim Anderson.
Yes.
Don't let me talk myself
well,
into
he's
it.
Jose
Morel
Ramirez pretty soon, so that's what we're working on.
He's the next Jose Ramirez.
All right, guys. This is the moment of the show you've all been waiting for, especially on the stream.
Nice little tease.
Who you got? And Jared, we gave the first pick, and you went with the shover.
Yeah.
I love his picture that we have up here.
I know. Look at that.
Yeah, that's nice. How come you get a real picture and we get sketches?
It's like a hybrid. I tried to throw some cartoon effects, but I'm not.
You got the circle around him, huh?
We got that for sure. And
I'm a little
not
disappointed that you seem to have trimmed the beard a little too tight.
It's a little bit of an older picture, so that the beard hadn't come into
hadn't blossomed yet.
hadn't bloomed into its current state just yet. But I'm going Keegan Thompson tonight. I think he's going to go give us 6 or 7 quality innings. He's going to shove.
Hell yeah. If I would have had first pick, I would have taken Keegan.
Yeah.
So I took Morel because we ride the hot hand, and also I know that Morel is going to be someone that the best fans in baseball absolutely hate because of the type of player he is. They hated Javi Baez. I can't wait for them.
St. Louis is boring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're all about playing baseball the Cardinal way and bunting and all that old shit from Luke's.
Oh yeah, well the
Luke's
Cubs
day.
are going to steal 5 bases tonight.
Yeah. They're all about none of the new school stuff. So they're going to absolutely hate Chris Morel and the type of player he is. And I absolutely love to see that. So I'm taking Chris Morel.
Yeah.
Ryan went with Nico. I took Wilson because that's what I've done the previous two. And we had a slight debate before the show on who won last night's pick on the Twitter space. Cody had Morel, who had the game-winning sacrifice fly. I had Wilson, who had the game-tying hit, and 2 hits, was 2 for 4. I'm willing to split that. You thought you had won. We've decided we'll each take a point.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes. And I love that you
That's
brought
how
up
we're going to work it out.
I love that you brought up the Twitter space.
Oh, that was a hit.
Yeah. So we don't do pregame for every game. It's always like the first game of the series. So tomorrow we'll probably try and do a Twitter space again. So tune into that.
Good stuff.
Go follow us on Twitter if you don't already.
I didn't have that on my schedule. I'll put that in Twitter
Well,
space.
I will probably be the one
Your Google
starting
Calendar.
it, and then Luke will be trying to find a way to
Cody
get
will
into
start it.
Yeah.
I found it just fine.
He did. I did not have faith, but he proved me wrong, and you give credit where credit is due.
That's right. My dial-up found it just fine. Don't you worry about me.
He got on his smartphone and figured it out.
Cubs, Cardinals, here we go. Thanks for dropping in to check out the CHGO Cubs pregame show presented by PointsBet. We're back here after the game, so make sure you join us for the postgame show as well. Until then, fly the W.